Is this thing recording? Blink twice if you need help. Hey, welcome to Hospitality Hottie. I guess this is officially our first time meeting. I'm Tiara, and 5 years ago, I moved here to New York City, and I never thought that I would be thriving in the hospitality industry. I've learned how to make money, handle chaos, and build a life that I love in this chaotic place called New York City. In this video, I'm going to be sharing like how I got into my career field as a bartender with no experience, and overall this channel is going to be able to help you do the same. So let's get into it. Okay, so I guess we really need to like start at the beginning. So pretty much I am from an extremely small town in Virginia. I feel like I'm like one of the first people in my town to go out on a whim and do something new and not care what people thought about me. Like, I was the first person to wear makeup at my school. I was the first person to have weave at my high school, and everybody used to like laugh at me and talk shit about me. But then after a while, they would just be like asking me like, oh, where did you get your hair from? Oh, how did you do your makeup like that? Oh, how did you? I think I made my first YouTube video my senior year of high school, but I didn't really have internet at the time because like I lived way in the country, so it was hard for me to upload. But I had showed it to my cousin, and I remember he like laughed at me, and I was so embarrassed, and I didn't really do another video for a few years. I think me and my mom had like moved to like a bigger town nearby, and I had like better internet and stuff, and that's when I made like my first video. And maybe like 2 years after that, I started making a lot more content, and it was like I've done makeup, I've done hair, but that's my old channel. So then I went to college, still doing YouTube. Then I moved to where I lived for college. So I lived there. So that was my first apartment. So that's where I really learned, you know, how to pay my bills and all that stuff. Well, essentially survive as an adult. So I did that in a bigger city. So that's like Virginia Beach type area. And then, mind you, I've had like relationships and everything at this time. So I've been through having a boyfriend, living with a guy. I did that before I moved. And then I said I wanted to move to New York City because my cousin, the same one that laughed at me, I love him to death. Shout out to Brandon if you're watching this. He lived in New York City. So I had the opportunity to visit New York City, and I loved it. I had so much fun. And I was at the end of one of my relationships, and I didn't really want to stay in that area anymore. So I said I want to move to New York City. So I'm the type of person, like if I want something, I just start researching it mad hard and then start trying to do it. That's how I started YouTube. That's how I started everything that I've ever done. I started looking for jobs, and at this point I had worked in sales at Verizon. I did a plethora of sales jobs. That was my career field. Worked at a college. I've always done sales, so I got online and I started looking for jobs in New York City, and I just put my cousin's on as the address because he already lived there, so that's what I put on my applications. And then I finally got a job. Like I went through like the interview process, and I started working for this place called Oak Street Health, and it was like a doctor's office. I was doing sales, like outside sales, which outside sales is fucking crazy. I commend people that do that, but you gotta be a hustler. That's the thing. I was a salesperson. I knew this was my job that I had to do, so I had to like, oh my God. I worked in Brownsville, Brooklyn, which if you know, that's like a very hood area. And then plus I had to like always be outside with like a table, trying to get old people to come to a doctor's office. And it was actually like a really good doctor's office. Like I felt good about it. I love making connections with people. So I was making connections with little old people. It was fun. It was like a little sad because like they would like pass away and stuff. But anyways, I kind of hated the job. It was sales. It was like every month is like so stressful with sales. Like it's like first of the month you're supposed to be excited, but no, you back down to zero. Like you fought all month to make your goal, and then you made it, and now you're back down to square one, zero at the beginning of the month, and now you have to do it all again. I didn't like it. It was like very high stress. So I saw that this girl that I went to college with, she had her own business and she was hiring. So I just like made an application, and this was back before you could use AI and all this stuff to make your application good. I just come up with stuff in my brain based off like my sales experience and like the stuff that I could do with YouTube, because I have a fair amount of like graphic design experience. I know how social media works and stuff like that. So I sold myself to her, like, and she said that I was like the only person that applied with like a real resume and everything. I took it seriously. Like I wanted to work for a startup. Like I just wanted that experience. beginnings. So I did that for like a year and I had fun doing it. I learned a lot. Honestly, I learned a lot about like how to run my own business because it was a small business. It was just me and her, and then she ended up hiring 2 other employees. So ultimately I had asked for a raise, a breakdown of like all the things that I had done to grow the company. It was like a proposal, and she agreed to the proposal, and then she came into work 3 days later and she like fired me. Not only did she like fire me, she like fired me in a very like mean, aggressive way. She said that I was taking advantage of her, and then she had like found a video of me on my break, and I had put my feet on my desk at work, but it was a chill environment. I thought it was okay, like if you're on your break, to put your feet on your desk. But yeah, that's what she used as grounds to fire me. And then she said I was like taking advantage of her business. I think she just didn't have enough money to like pay me what I wanted, but I don't know what the aggressive part was about. That was weird. But either way, I got fired from that job like very traumatically. Had to hit the ground running, and I had to start applying for what I knew. I had served in college. I had worked at this place called O'Charlie's. I ended up getting a serving job because that was like the fastest thing that I could get. I think I maybe was unemployed for maybe a month. So yeah, I started serving, and the first job that I worked at was called Soko. It's in Brooklyn. It's ran by Mark Daly. He's a reality star. He's Kenya Moore's baby mama. He's this Trini guy. He was a literal psychopath, but he gave me my first job. I used to make so much money there. I remember one time I lost $800, made it all back in like 2 days. That was my first taste of like working in New York City as a server. Mind you, child, had to elaborate to even get that. I had made up all types of stuff on my resume, but I went in there, sold it, got the job. That's where I got my chops working in New York City. I remember I had this amazing boss named Wendell. He's the one that like really got me together, because you know, serving is high stress, especially in New York City, especially working for a soul food restaurant. That's another thing. This is a Black-owned restaurant. I've always worked for Black-owned restaurants in New York City until my most recent job. Loved it, but then the boss was such a psycho. Like I had to find another job. Girl that I worked at Soko with put me on to this place called Hendrick's House, and that was like my lounge club job, but that's where I did learn how to make drinks. So I had that job while I was working at Soko. I was making so much money at the time. It was like insane working at those 2 jobs. Like I loved it so much. Cherish those times, because New York City is not like that anymore. I permanently left Soko, started at Kokomo, which, so I was there for like 2 years at Kokomo. Learned so much experience there, and then now here I am. I finally got away from Kokomo and I work at this restaurant in Times Square that's dope. God, so I didn't really talk about the bartending stuff. The place that was the lounge is where I first learned how to make drinks, because this place was like a really hood place, like hookah, like that's what I always used to work at, like hood spots. Like, I mean, the money was there, it was fun, it's chill, relaxed, whatever. A service bartender, which is like the one that's reserved to make the drinks for the servers, because I was a server there. They would take forever to make the cocktails, like to the point that I've had people walk out on me. Like I literally had this famous guy walk out on me. This was like the first celebrity that I ever served, and he walked out on me. Like he's not that big of a celebrity, but he's a rapper. I'm gonna put his picture. He is T.I.'s stepdaughter Zanique's baby daddy. So anyways, the service bar was taking forever, and that guy ran out on me. So anyways, that's with that to say, like the manager there was okay with us getting behind the bar. So that's how I learned to make my first couple of drinks. Like I learned how to make margarita, lemon drop, sidecar was very popular there. We had a couple martinis, but it was a lot of margarita. So that's really where I learned like the recipe for like margarita. And like after you learn pretty much that recipe, all the other recipes like make sense. And if you learn how the drink is supposed to taste, it becomes really easy. So that's where I learned how to make drinks. I remember I would make drinks for my tables when it was super busy, and then sometimes if like the bartenders there would like take forever, they would be late or something, they would need someone, I would be there, I would just get behind the bar and have to make drinks. So that's how I got my first real like messing around with shakers and stuff experience. And then after that is when I got the job at this sports bar called Essence with like this old guy named Arthur. He's such a perv. He's like 70, and all the guys that come in there are like old ass guys, and like, but I used to make money, and I love that job because you get paid your shift pay and you get paid your tips at the end of the day. So every day I left with at least $100, $120, sometimes up to $200, depends on the day. But yeah, and that was my second job at the time. So that is how I really learned how to like set up a bar, handle a bar, make sure the bar is clean. But see, I already had the server experience. But yeah, I feel like I'm going a little bit too in depth for just an intro. But and I also had a job called Sweet Science, which this shows how hard it is to get from one bartender position to another. So first of all, it claims to be a black owned restaurant. It's black owned. It's ran by this white lady that honestly, she's a racist bitch. And I don't even be calling people racist. Like, I'm not even one of those people that just be calling people racist. Like, I'm from a white ass place. I grew up with a bunch of white people. I can tell when somebody's being racist, like, you know, and she really was. Well, she said she was hiring me as a bartender. Then she was like, oh, you have to work your way up here. So then I ended up being a server. So I would serve, and then she essentially wanted me to be a bar back for the bartender. I was doing it, and then one day she just said, oh, you're just not working hard enough, which I was one of the best people there. I think she was like intimidated by my service skills. But yeah, she was a bitch. She was one of those women that she likes black guys, but she really doesn't like black women. Like, she had one black bartender. Mind you, this is a black owned bar.
So the one black bartender that she hired was a lesbian, and she did that strategically because she knew she wouldn't flirt with any of the guys at the bar, and I would take so much attention from the guys at the bar that it would annoy the crap out of her, even as a server, because she was so used to getting all the attention.
One black bartender, everybody else is white. 5 white people at a black bar with a bunch of black customers and Puerto Rican customers. One night it was slammed, and she didn't think that I was helping the girl that sucked as a bartender hard enough that night when I had to take tables and help her. It was just so annoying. Either way, she like fired me pretty much. She said like there was no spot for me there because I wasn't like being a bar back and a server hard enough at a place that I thought I was going to be a bartender at. So yes, had that job, lost it, and then I was still at Kokomo at the time. I mean, Kokomo, it's fine. They don't be paying people right, but you just have to leave. If people ain't paying you right, just leave. That's one thing that you will learn working in this fucking industry. I think that's enough, guys. I really need to wrap this up. If you want to know more, ask me more questions. I love chatting. As you can see, I'm a freaking bartender, so I be talking to people all the time. So you can ask me anything that you want to know. If you want to hop into the industry, it's a great way to hop into the industry, and it made me be able to survive New York City. So I owe bartending a lot, and I actually like it. I have a lot of freedom. It's not like you have to be to work absolutely on time or they're gonna fire you. It's just flexible. It's fun. It's just I really enjoy it, and I can't see myself doing anything else. Oh, most importantly, it allows me the flexibility to be able to have enough time to work on my own business so I don't have to work for someone forever, you know? I hope you guys really grasp my personality, and you can see that I'm actually a really fun, cool girl. If you're interested in learning how to become a bartender with no experience so that you can make it wherever you're at in your city, you don't gotta be New York City, you can do this anywhere. I would love for you to consider checking out my e-guide. It costs $5. It will like give you 6 core recipes that you need to know. Like, these are things you should memorize before you like try to go into an interview and shit. It'll just give you some tips on like how to have confidence. It has a couple of helpful tips in there, and then it has the categories of liquor. Like, if you don't know like a bunch of different vodkas, or you don't know a bunch of different tequilas or whiskeys, it'll have a list of those, so you'll just have those and you'll know. And this is stuff that you can look over and practice, or maybe have in the back of like your little book with your papers when they ask you a question or something for your interview. So yeah, you should check that out. It's really cute too. Like, you could print it if you want. Like, I really tried really hard with the graphic design. But yeah, if you want to buy that, I welcome you to get that. If you just want free tips, if you don't got $5 to pay, I totally understand. Like, people don't really got money like that. So I will be providing tips on all of my social media platforms as well. So you don't just have to buy something, you could just follow me, and then I'll be giving free tips too, child. How to cut fruit, how to, just tell me what you want, baby. I could do it all. So yeah, guys, that's my story. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will definitely be seeing you guys soon. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Check out my ebook, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.